So the story about L Doctorow, why he's important to New Rochelle, he lived in New Rochelle for many years. He raised his family here, and the book Ragtime is really rooted in New Rochelle and its history.
Today is the official dedication for a life-size bronze sculpture that I made in honor of his work and his family and his legacy that he's left with us and is still alive today.
L Doctorow, of course, was a larger-than-life figure with a profound impact on American literature, on American culture, profound impact on authors throughout the world, as well as fans throughout the world. And yet he was also one of our own.
When Edgar Doctorow passed away in 2015, a lot of people said, oh, the city should name a street after him, they should do something to memorialize him. And Noam Bramson called several of us and said, what do you think? And he pulled together a committee. Because of his stature in the world, because of all that he accomplished, we felt it really made sense to have a statue.
So this project got started with, there was a call for entries. It was a competition that was held, international competition. And so I came up with this idea for the sculpture, and I was selected as one of 3 finalists.
And we just loved Derek's idea for the statue. You know, Derek wanted to use some of Mr. Doctorow's clothing, which he did on the statue. You can see he cast his actual clothing in wax and made the molds from his actual clothing. And I think Mrs. Doctorow liked that idea as well. So that's how the statue came to be.
Part of my idea, my vision, was rather than just sculpting a figure in a traditional sense, I thought to somehow, how could I embody the spirit of L Doctorow in this sculpture beyond looking at a photograph of him or multiple photographs of him and whatever attire he might have had on. I thought, what would be better than to actually somehow embody his spirit or use his actual clothes in the sculpture. And I've done things like this before, but not in a life-size bronze of an iconic figure like L Doctorow. So I talked to Helen Doctorow, and she was generous, kind enough, and respected my vision. So she gave me one of his favorite blue blazers, a blue Oxford shirt, a sweater vest, khaki pants, and actually a pair of his shoes. So I was able to model clay and wax on top of his actual clothes, and then ultimately take a rubber mold of those articles to ultimately be converted into bronze through a series of processes.
He sourced the limestone from a quarry in Indiana. He found a foundry in New York. So it's been a huge undertaking to get all the moving parts to come together. And we're just so excited to see it finally happen.
Now, the installation time, I came down to New Rochelle on a Monday, met the truck driver. He was in Indiana sitting with the limestone on his flatbed truck, and he brought that truck from Indiana all the way to New Rochelle. We met early Tuesday morning, and we were able to get it off of his flatbed truck through a series of, we were initially going to use a crane, and then we'd end up using an oversized forklift, if you will. But getting that stone from Indiana, actually where I grew up, that was where I went to high school in southern Indiana, it's limestone capital of the world. But having the limestone base in place on a Tuesday, had to sit for 72 hours. Then I came back Friday, the 13th of October, and we put the sculpture on that limestone base. But having that, seeing the bronze sculpture that I modeled for several years finally put in place was somewhat undescribable. It was a relief, it was a joy, it was an honor just to think that this piece is going to be here for a long time. Having the sculpture in place since Friday the 13th, and here we are Sunday, the 22nd of October, walking up to the site and seeing Helen Doctorow and David Doctorow and the rest of the family, and seeing them overwhelmed with joy and meeting me, and they're satisfied and they're elated, was beyond words.
I want to welcome you to the Ragtime Jazz Brunch. We're so glad you're here today. And we're so delighted today to be celebrating a wonderful New Rochelian and good friend to the Arts Council, L Doctorow.
Ed Doctorow and Helen Doctorow were very much parts of our community. As we heard from their son a short while ago, first at Harbor House, then more famously on Broadview Avenue. And they cared about New Rochelle. They were involved in New Rochelle. You would run into them at the supermarket. They were our neighbors.
New Rochelle is going to be that kind of leader for the whole South Shore in the years to come. But today, you're looking backwards to the days of ragtime, which also was a great time, and honoring L Doctorow is also a great thing.
Today has just been an absolute wonderful joy and a real honor for my family. It is, as you know, the place where my father lived for the longest in his life, and he really felt a connection to New Rochelle.